help you. Let's try to make better use of time. Let's look at how we can make the Nutanix engine work better. That's how I see it. If it's considered a performance plant, well, I'll debate that, forever. So, you ask me, hey, if I'm on plan, you need to tell me. I didn't consider it. And when I spoke to not Alicia, Katrina yesterday, she understood and said, okay, fair point. All right. So, this LOC is designed to further focus um, against the letter of expectations, and then also um, the expectations of an enterprise account exec. So
Mhm.
that's that's my piece. I'll let you go through this, but I really think we need more than 12 minutes.
Yeah,
Uh,
100% we do. We can
I
reschedule. We
don't,
can start with our 12 minutes now if you want to.
yeah, I just want to do it justice. This is important to me. I know it's important to you, so I don't want to sit here and have a 2-on-2 drive, because I've got one with Keith and Justin. I don't want to see it drive. But the plan would be that we meet each week and we go through it. And there are items to debate. Great. I'm always, we always want to make sure that, yourself or anyone else, regardless, that, the voice is heard.
Mhm.
Um, and if something's not in place that we need to put in place, well, then we note it. And so when I send an email back to you, I will also go to Katrina and said, hey, Aaron brought up fair point. There aren't any account plans in place for education, so, we just have to make sure we document that and, take on board any comments, because I will send an email back saying, okay, here's what we discussed, based on the actual format that I sent, and then we'll take it from there. And then we'll just work through this. Again, the plan is that I make sure that you're your best place to succeed. And I use this because it's, enterprise account exec. When I was brought on board, Mark said to me, hey, I'm bringing you on board because I looked at your past experience. And he said, I know you've got enterprise expertise. I know you've worked in it for many, many years. So I need that to rub off on other people.
Right. And
That's kind of what he said to me. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there, just so you knew, and you knew that I had spoken to Katrina yesterday,
I
and
figured, yeah. I figured
so
you would. I told her and we talked about it. I was like, listen, I don't mind this getting back to Steve. I hope it would get back to Steve because I want this. And we even talked about like, we can even get on if we had to. I don't think we need to, but if we had to, we can get on three.
and that's what she
Calls.
said.
I was
That's
like,
what she.
yeah. My goal for the writing this up is no way to push back. Hopefully you don't see that as pushback. It's to make sure what my concerns are.
Absolutely. I did not think, she said to me that you were going to send back a rebuttal.
Yep.
And I knew, and I expected this. If you didn't, I'd be like, all right, well, how much does this person really care?
Right.
You know? So I expected this, and I listen, let's go through it.
Right.
That's why
That,
we're having this
yeah.
conversation. But I
And
don't want to rush it, Aaron. We've got 9 minutes. I really don't want to rush this. So let's take our time going through your email and then going through the document.
yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the whole plan. I just want to make sure I'm not being coached out versus being let's
No,
coach.
you're not. No, if you weren't performing, right, and we don't make any improvement, then that's another story.
Mhm.
But what we're trying to do is I need my impressions, right? And I've said this. Are you an enterprise account exec? Do you have the background? Do you have everything available to help you be that? Because being an enterprise versus commercial is night and day.
Right.
Absolute night and day. And it's harder, and a lot of strategies is involved. It's just I had a customer that had 4 CIOs, because they had 4 different verticals within that company. It was actually DuPont. That was an absolute nightmare. So that's what we're doing. All right. So let's go through this line item by line item. Again, I want to give it time.
Okay. All right. So you want to start with my email, right? Is that what you were talking about, or are you talking about?
Yeah, this is of utmost importance to me.
All right. So, well, so we'll start off with the document, what it says, and something that you and I discussed was just the concern is when am I graded upon the whole thing, right? And that's the I think you said you were going to send a email back to open up the self assessment. That kind of carries over to this as well, and I think on there that it
Yeah, I
shows.
spoke to Katrina, by the way, on that, and
Yeah.
she's gonna go back to someone and see if we can do that. I have to do with Franco did something where he just wrote something up and didn't use the document. Now he's locked out and I can't get in there. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for her to get back to me on both those two instances.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I just want to make sure because I mean, based off of what I see here I wrote it out there for code attainment, like when I started, was March 13th. Well, they had me sign for February, but I didn't start until March 13th. That's when I first started. And so March 13th was my first official day here, and then to April. So I mean, that gave me, a month of whatever you want to call, that type of thing. And then
Yeah.
first quarter would have been my building the pipeline or training or whatever you want to call it. And then second quarter is working through the opportunities. And then this is my third quarter essentially. And I made quota. So
Right.
that's why I was concerned. One of the concerns is why am I being progressed? And then it's okay if what I don't understand is what this is. I mean, letter of concern to me, the way she explained it to me is that it is the next step of being performance PIP or PIP essentially. So it's this one, and then they can either let you go at letter of concern, or they put you on PIP on the next one, and then they let you go.
So the purpose of this is that I've said in the past, like, last month we were going through forecasting and you didn't know the difference or was unsure of the difference between, I don't know, I forgot what it was, strong upside pipeline, uh when to enter something in pipeline at what stage.
Yeah.
We go through a marketing exercise because a marketing plan was different than what you were going through. We didn't have an account plan per se. I was concerned a lot, or not a lot, but I was concerned about the lack of part of meetings with customers. It was, mostly, if not all, with business partners. And I think the expectation is that we should be having meetings with customers at this point, more so than partners, right? What I don't like about this is the 8 to 12, I'm being honest, 8 to 12 meetings per week. You can't manufacture a meeting, so I am okay with that, right? I don't hold you to, and I've told this to Katrina, right? I said I'm not going to do it. It's like 90K a week of pipeline, right? We have pipeline is obviously having meetings with customer, but also the partners. Not making pipeline, that's also concerned because the company expects 3.7 to 4x. I think Rajiv expects nothing less than like 4x.
Yeah.
So we need to be making that or exceeding that number. And, Augustine goes through it each week and now is calling out sub-regions. And, during my forecast, Mark will say, okay, Steve, let's look at pipeline. Wow, you're only 3x. Well, let's see how each team member is performing.
Yeah.
Right. So that gets looked at a weekly basis. Okay. So, yeah, I get it. The first 30 days, I completely get it. But, we have to have started generating pipeline within the first 6 months, and we're still not achieving that number. And my comment would be, you and Chris need to be going and meeting with the customer, right? I know, Chris has said that he doesn't get invited to all the meetings. And my view would be, you need to be, if, to generate pipeline, we've got to, generate the right, um, what's the word I want to use? We got to make sure that we ask the right questions with the customer and make sure we're in a position to
Right.
position Nutanix when the requirement is there. You've said a few times, I've heard you say cost governance a lot. That shouldn't even be part of the conversation until we get the customer to spill everything. And then we make notes and say, hey, listen, we talked about this, this, and this. I'd like to go away. I would like to, make some notes and, come back to you with maybe suggestions for another topic, another call. And that's when you would introduce, and this is what we did at SCO, right? And that's when you would introduce, topics to discuss. So again, I wouldn't want to hear cost governance or anything until I've had at least one meeting, not on a first meeting, something like that. It sends the wrong signals to the customer saying, wait a minute, does this person not want to hear what I have to say? Why are they already coming out with solutions when myself or others haven't had the opportunity to discuss our concerns? I met with a customer one time and I said, I went and listened to him and I thought, okay, let me try it this way. I said, I forgot what his name was. I said, so Tom, help me understand what's not working. And he looked at me and I asked that for a specific reason because I wanted him to tell me what was on his mind. And it was around doing a on-prem private cloud. And nothing was said. And then he said, no, you know what? I think I want to tell you this. And he said, I'm having lots of issues with the networking team, blah, 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 blah. So then we said, all right, well, listen, there's a lot that's been discussed. Let me go away. Let me kind of figure out what other people on our team, on my team, what kind of engagements they've had, what kind of feedback they had. And then I'll come back to you and we can then discuss next steps. So it was just that thought process. And I was just, I just heard it a lot. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I wouldn't be discussing, you know, Chris mentioned it, right? When we were talking about just something else, I was talking about, what kind of topics, do you guys discuss with your customers? And I've done that with everyone. And he just said, we seem to talk about cost governance a lot. So I thought, oh boy, don't want to go down that road. So again,
Let me then, because I know we only have a minute here. Let me address something that you just said there, though. So my question, and I'm just trying to ask for advice from you for the cost governance. The reason why a lot of times I bring up cost governance, and I don't do that for everything, but there are sometimes I bring it up, is because it's part of the discussion of, well, help me understand, Mr. Customer, what are you doing today to make sure that with your cloud spend that you are under budget, that you're not over budget, or that you have the right you're using the right environment, with your applications and your workloads are in the right environment. How is that? How are you doing that? And then I go into, because cost governance to me is not a solution. That's not a product. I mean, it can be a product at some point, but it's free. It's not a product that we solve an issue. What I see it as is it gets us deeper into, hey, Mr. Customer, what we at Nutanix can do is we have a tool that we can go in and see, an inventory tool that kind of looks at all of your inventory, what you're using, how you're using it, what environment it is, and we're able to look at a cost of what those applications and workloads are doing today and what environment is and what your cost is today, what it can be, what environment it may be. Is that something that is beneficial for you? So that's how I utilize it. And my question to you is, it's to get them to kind of start speaking more about their cloud solutions and what they're doing and how they're using it. Do they have somebody that's guaranteed just for AWS, somebody that's just for Azure, and somebody that's just for on-premise? Or is it one person that's doing all three? Help me understand that. And that's why I bring that up as cloud governance. I think
okay,
it's really powerful, but I guess I'm
okay,
wrong.
fair enough. Okay. I understand that. All right, listen, it's 2 minutes past. Let's get it. Let's do something for tomorrow, please. Let's set aside an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. And that way, we spend as much time and we're not, and I'll go through this again and I'll make some notes and then we can talk about it tomorrow.
That's great. Okay. All right, Steve. Thanks so
All right.
much for jumping
Yeah,
on
give
this.
me 90 minutes. Let's get 90 minutes, okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.